Dobro utro. Yeah. Okay, let's start. It's true, I am working for government last 20 years in different positions, from tax and custom board to government CIO office, and I really was involved in different interesting projects in Estonia which boost our government. And now I have a pleasure with you to share some of our cases, what we've done. Of course, I'll try to explain where our things are going not so good, and where we also can learn from different countries, and we still have a lot to do, because it's never-ending story to digitalize our society. We are small, but I'm happy that we are big, a bit bigger than you, and when I speak around the world, I am also always told, oh, we are so small, and but it's good. If you are small, you are agile. You can make things faster. You do not need to agree in different layers some new initiatives. You just can do it. You just think to learn fast and do things, and try to be innovative. Again, we are very proud of that we are achieving the number one in online services index. Yes, we are not on the top, but we are only one country which really totally digitalized. We have a joke that we have only 3 services that we can do online. It's marriage, divorce, and we can't buy real estate without third-party notary or something like that. All our services are available electronically. And by the way, we are working also on e-marriage, let's say so. Let's see how it will look like. A bit of history, just for understanding why I'm showing this long turn what we have done, to understand that we was doing things not that on purpose, that we are like it. We need it. As I told, we are a small country, and our first aim was cut as much as possible bureaucracy which dealing with the people daily. It was first target. And our target is why we are starting with the, let's say so, e-taxation. It's because our budget consists just only from taxes. We have no oil, we have no resources, and only what we have our entrepreneurs, which pay taxes for us, and it was main reason to make business ecosystem simple and taxation area simple. It was idea that it's more simple to pay taxes than avoid paying taxes, and that's why we started with financial area. Of course, ID card. We need some methods how to make sure that people who connected with us, it's the exactly same people who he really is. And again, it was not our idea. We stolen it from Finland, from our neighbors, but we make it obligatory. If you achieving 15 years, you have to have ID card, not physical paper passport, ID card. It's the obligatory document. You need passport only for traveling to third countries. Within Europe, you can travel with ID card, and that's all. And why it's important? Because ID card is also the key into the information society. You can log in and use all services. And what we have done, we started to do it in collaboration with private sector. Because private sector already had identification methods in banks, in telcos, and it was not reasonable to create something in addition. It was logical to make it together. We started to accept the bank authorization systems, and banks accept our ID card. And step by step, it become to one ecosystem where with the ID card I can also use all private sector services. I don't need special card for government services. It's unique for everyone, or universal for everyone, and it's very important. Also, what we've done, it's mobile ID, now it's smart ID. We need some alternatives to identification to people. It's not enough to have just one solution. And what's very important in my point of view, that we are trying also to expand our ecosystem, and in the year 2014 we established e-residency let's say approach where everyone can be a part of the e-Estonia. You can apply for our e-residency card, and you can use all services that we have in Estonia. On that case, for example, here in Montenegro, you can apply for e-residency card and start dealing business according to the European Union rules, because we are part of the European Union. And it's a lot of countries from India, from Ukraine, by the way, we are using it, and we are part of the European society. I think it's very important. Data embassies, very important project. We told about that we have a crazy neighbor, and we have someone to protect our society. We started with that in the year 2017. And what does it mean? It means that our vital infrastructure, our vital services or registers are backed in Luxembourg. If we will have same scenario like in Ukraine, our state will still exist in digital manner. And it's very important. By the way, in Ukraine case, we are surviving as a government only because of going to the cloud. And it was the solution. In our case, we are prepared for that in the long term. And it's very important to think also of that kind of situations. And of course, now we are trying to build our information society as a seamless and proactive society. Yes, we are past the point where we digitalized all services. Now we are thinking how to make it invisible for people, how create society where things just happened. If I need something, I just get it through some electronic environment. And maybe in the future, we will be aware that we don't need any interface. We will live just through notification through different devices, not in mobile phone, or it could be everywhere. Once again, very important thing, identity. If you have identity, if you have your digital name, as we have in Estonia, you are able to exchange the data between different databases. And it's our case. We choose distributed infrastructure. It means that we do not have the big database where we store all government data. No, every authority is responsible for their own data, but they have obligation to exchange the data. For example, if a tax authority needs some information about addresses, they have to create connection with population register, not to collect data which already exists in population register. And it's the logic. You have to exchange the data. And for that, we create our data exchange layer. We call it X-Road. Via that, we are able to exchange the data. And it's based on open source solution. For that, we need just the internet, and we encrypt the data end-to-end, and we are able to exchange it. Later on, I will show you a few examples. And what very important, that we are also open with solution for private sector, for banks, for telcos, for small businesses. If you need some information about addresses, about births and deaths, you can ask it from population register. You do not need to ask it from people. And that's why it's also easier to make some services if we based on real data that really exist in databases that protected by state. It's the real picture of our X-Road. The green dots is the databases, and if spot is bigger, it means that whose database has more connection with another databases, and it's shows that we're really distributed. We don't need one huge database. As I mentioned, every authority responsible for their own data, and according information security point of view is also very good, because if one spot will broken, all ecosystem will still exist. We have a we have a joke that highest highway, it's our X-Road. As you see, every year we are able to make a huge amount of different queries, but it's not so important what we are able to exchange the data. It's important that we are exchanging the data, we are able to save the time. Imagine even if you exchange data through, I don't know, email. I don't know, I'm Ministry of Economic Affairs, opposite me Ministry of Internal, and I need something. I have to write what I need, I have to send to another ministry, they have to understand, do I have a right to get those information, answer me, and if you imagine that for those transaction you use 15 minutes, in real life of course it could be a longer term, we are able to save more than 2,000 working years by 1 year, because query is happening automatically. And we are calculated that if we put it into the money, we are able to save around 2.1% of our GDP by saving that time, if we put it into the salaries. And our military budget is 2.7 of GDP. And we have a joke that through doing ICT, we are able to invest in our defense area. Our state portal, it's our face for our people, and all important information are integrated into our state portal. When we started, we make some promotions. What you can benefit from the exchanging the data. And as you see, it was the year 2007, we just created some additional web page where you can got in through your ID card, and you can see what kind of information state already has. Where are you living, who is your child, who is your family doctor, what kind of car you have, all those information available automatically for you. And all those information located in different databases, by the way. And how it works on manner that when I log in that time, queries are going in all databases what we have according my personal data, and all those information brings together in my presentation layer, and only I can see it. No police officer, no, I don't know, no prime minister. It's just my view through my ID card. And when I log out, all information, let's say so, goes back. We do not store data in our state portal. We're just showing data what we already have in different databases. For making our system more transparent, we also create some additional service that we call the data tracker. And again, everyone in our country can log into the WOO's data tracker mechanism, choose some register, for example, population register, because it's the heart of our information system, and can check who will use the data. If policemen stop me on the road and check my address or something like that, whose query will be saved and showed me in whose database. If I check for some queries and I know that I have no connection with police, for example, but on some case someone looked my data, I could ask why you are doing that. And if there are no any needs or any procedures, in Estonia, whose policemen lost the job. It's for sure. And again, on one hand, we provide some possibility to using data in each authorities, of course, in specific purpose. And on another one, we are able to provide service for people and show them does everything is correct. And it is a very important thing. And we are not alone. Same solution are used by different countries. Some of them copied. With the Finns, we are developing our system together because we are neighbors. It's reasonable to make collaboration through the bay. And you can use it in different manners. You can buy it from private sector. You can just install it by yourself because it's open source code, and just start to use it. And it's not necessary to use it in all government. You can use it, I don't know, in one authority or in one domain or just in local government. It depends on you. Important thing is that through whose ecosystem you are able to exchange the data between different authorities. Of course, we also have our digital agenda. For us, it's for the year 2030. And main, let's say so, idea is to how to increase satisfaction of the people. Main indicator is that our users, citizens, guests of Estonia be satisfied by using information system. All other things are not so important. E-voting. We're still on the first place in the world who really provide internet voting. I can vote in all levels, in the local one, in governmental, in EU, from any place of the world where I have, if in whose spot providing the internet. For example, if elections are going right now in Estonia, I can vote from Montenegro for politicians, not a problem. And it's the idea to give the real opportunity to use e-solutions. And it's around half of our population using it, and it's not the option, it's not a purpose to put them all in e-channel, but it's an additional possibility to give the chance to vote, despite that, where are you actually are. You just need the internet, and that's all. Taxation. I already mentioned it. It was our first success story. And even today, if you prefer present tax declaration to our tax authority, you can choose the paper version, no problem. But I'm sure no one in Estonia is able to present it in paper, because it's very boring. It's a lot of pages, a lot of tables. Only, I don't know, tax officers or bookkeepers are able to do it. But again, by using ICT, by exchanging the information, by using authentication, you in 80% of cases doing it in one click. And again, what's the idea? We do not create good working e-services for everyone. We have to figure it out what the most popular case on the service journey. If it works for 80% of people, it's quite good. Because if we will create a service for every specific, I don't know, situation, it again become very boring. We have to figure it out how it works for 80% of population and just doing it. And another 20 we can manage through some point-to-point service or make it more complicated. Of course, business, as I mentioned, we do not have resources. We have to create environment for our businesses to make it easy, without any bureaucracy. And yes, in Estonia we have a joke that you can even establish the company through 15 minutes. One guy from UK just achieved the record. Before that it was 22 minutes. Now it's beaten, and we really can create the company through 15 minutes. And it's reality. As you see, I'm showing always some similar, let's say so, logging point, and it's universal for all authorities. Everyone can use standardized, we call it TARA, authentication method. You do not need to create something special for your authority. You just take holistic solution and can use it in every services that we have in Estonia. And what's the very important point in that solution when we're trying to establish the company? It's not only for business register. For example, we have also tax and custom board, and through the process of establishing a company, you also can make some things what you have to do for another authority. For example, apply for VAT number or registering the staff. In physical world, whose services belongs to tax authority. In virtual world, you can do it in one window through the journey of the registration. Again, very important point to put ourselves into the shoes of our clients and figure it out how they feel when they following the all steps through one or another procedure. And example, if you want to do it on old-fashioned way, it takes 5 to 20 days. All process with exceptions, it takes 3 hours. As I mentioned before, all submitting procedure is 15 minutes. After that, it's going to back office. Officials check some requirements, and after the 3 hours, you are owner of the company. I think it's amazing, and that's why our e-residency program is also very popular, because you can easily establish a company and starting to doing business. We also have a lot of programs for our local governments. Also, we are part of a smart city, and our capital, Tallinn, is also doing quite good things on that field. But be honest, in Estonia, in local level, where we have smaller local governments, we are not so good in e-services. And it's true. Because they have less money, they have a bit another problems, and ICT is always, okay, I will doing with it later on. But again, still, we also, as a government, trying to push all local governments to take some digital policies also on table, because it's very important. And I'm very happy that you here in Podgorica are quite good in digitalization, and it's perfect, I think. Another very popular service is our now it's, before it was road authority, now it's transport authority. All things regards driving licenses, buying and selling the cars, we can do also electronically. Again, if someone of you will have e-residency card, we can buy and sell the car here right now, because the ownership goes through the registers and it's done. It's very easy. When we launch this service, the number of visitors of the road authority decreased dramatically. We saw that people starting to selling and buying the cars in fuel stations near the city, because it was convenient. We just going there, checking the car, take a coffee, make procedures, and go, and it was done. It's my picture from my passport here. Why it's important and why I'm showing it for you when I have to renew my, for example, driving license. I also have to change my picture in the license. And if I already have a new picture in database of passports, I automatically can use it in whose environment. It seems like very simple, but now I told you how it really happened when we launched this service. In technological point of view, it takes only 2 weeks to make it happen, but we just take a picture from passports database and put it into the environment of road authority, and that's all. Just 2 weeks, 1 sprint of development. Legally, it took 2 years, because area of the passport and ID cards is under the Ministry of Interior, and road authority is under the Ministry of Economic Affairs. And to change the law, that Ministry of Economics can use pictures that belongs to area of Ministry of Interiors, legally took 2 years, even in so small country as Estonia. And maybe first takeaway of our journey is that you always have to think about legislation, because you can't do nothing if it's not allowed by law. First of all, you have to figure it out how it will be correctly according legal point of view, and after that it will be quite easy to make it technologically. It's good example on one hand, but very bad example on another one. We're just waiting 2 years on bureaucracy. And why, again, it's very important from technological point of view. Again, when I log into the transportation authority environment with my ID card, all bits of information that necessary for renewal the driving license are located in different databases, as you see. As I mentioned, my picture is in the police and border guards database. My health data is in the health database, and my address is in the population register. And when I log in, we just collect those information, checking it. If everything is okay, I can go forward the process of the driving license renewal. When I log out, information goes back. Again, every authority responsible for their own information that we have to collect and protect. And we have to make it happen that we can expand it to another information system if it needed. E-health, also a very important domain in Estonia. We have our portal where everyone can check the data of health, again, through same procedure of identification. And of course, information of the child. If I have a child, I also can check information according to the health of my child. And important thing here is that I can stop access to my health data for the doctors if I need it. For example, I had a bad experience with some doctors, and I can close the information to my health data. Again, it's very important that health data, it's very, very, very personal data, and I will have the power to manage it. The information belongs not to the doctors. The information belongs to me, and I have to have the right to decide who will use it. It's very important principle that we're trying to follow through all databases, but firstly, we launched it in our health data. Principles. It's very important for us that we do not collect, as I mentioned, data in one big database. We're trying to use with once only principle. If on one case I submit some data for government, it's problem of the government to start to share it between different authorities. Not my problem to submit it again and again and again for different authorities. No legacy policy is also very important for us already right now. We built our society during the last 30 years, and we have, for today, a lot of legacy systems. We have to rewrite them. We have to take on board new technologies, and when you will build your society, please think about it that after the 10 or 12 years you have to rewrite your information systems. It's reality. Digital by default, it's also a principle for us. If I create new service in physical world, in same time I have to figure it out how it will look like in electronic environment. It's very important. Data first. In Estonia, still for today, we have a problem when I don't know, we create new law, we figure it out new service, and we think that, oh, we have to establish some form for collecting data. Now, for example, if I need to give some license for someone, I figure it out to form, via that I will start to collect the data. But in reality, I don't need the form. I need data set for making decision according given license or not. And what we are pushing forward, that in the law, we do not have the established forms that describe data sets that we need for the offering services. And again, it's very important. And last but not least, again, for us, it's very important that we do not create e-service just for e-service. We really need to change something. And we have one rule that service in e-environment have to be easier than in physical environment. Only on that case, it's have a point. If service in e-environment, let's say so, more boring than in physical one, it's never will work. And on one hand, it's simple to understand, but it's very hard to implement. But again, it's a very important principle. Few words of our legislation. As I mentioned, it's very important. We do not have any specific digitalization law or something like that. We have Public Information Act. And in that act, we have two, let's say so, pillars or two dimensions. Disclosure of information. We're describing what kind of information it's open for everyone. And restricted information. Information which be restricted on one or another hand, which belongs specifically for one or another government, and we have managed it on some manner. And of course we have state secrets law, but it's more complicated topic, and I think it's not the issue for conference of today. And I want to stress on the first two approaches. And according to the disclosure of information, every authority in Estonia has to have web page with all information which have to be open. It's obligatory. All institutions in all levels have to provide all information electronically. And it's established by law, by Public Information Act. In our case, according to restricted information, for providing those data exchange services through X-Road, we put into the law so-called supports systems to state information system. It's very important because those six approaches very crucial, and if you do not manage it, let's say so, magic never happened. You need some centralized things as a classificator system. It's responsibility of statistic department or authority. The geodesic system, all information according to land, it's also centralized. Of course, we need some security standard for managing data. And of course, X-Road. It's obligatory to using X-Road. I can't change another way of exchanging information in Estonia. I have to use X-Road, and that's why it's important. And as you see, it's just one example. Before the year of 2008, we had no law of the exchanging information or once only principle. And after that, when we established it, the number of the X-Road usage are dramatically increased, and now it's our fundamental approach how we exchange the data. That's why legislation, again, it's very important. If you just ask to do some things, it doesn't work. In some cases, you have to put it into the law. And now we are planning to add two additional rules in our Public Information Act. It's a consent service and governmental cloud, because our authorities don't like to use the governmental cloud because it's more convenient to have all stuff somewhere closer to you. But again, for pushing forward cloud solutions, we add some obligatory for our authorities. And the consent service, it's again through our state portal. It's very interesting thing. Again, if you have some personal data in information systems of the government, and some startups needs your personal data for making some new solutions, I can give the right to use my, for example, personal data through this environment. Because a private sector can't use my private data without asking the rights for doing that. And for boosting also startup society, we are creating the possibility to give the right to use personal data. I think it's also a very innovative way how we do things. And again, some facts. By digitalization, we are able to save quite huge stack of paper every month. It's equal to one Eiffel Tower, and I think it's quite a good result. Where we are moving? We want to be closer to our people. We also have, I don't know, 3,000 different services in different authorities, but it's really complicated to find them for regular people. And we have to create our ecosystem according to the life and business events, because it's true, if something happened in my life, I don't think about it, what kind of authority provide me services. I just want to get all of them in that moment when something happened. And what we are doing right now, we create our environment in our state portal according to those life events. For example, birth of the child. Again, I log in, and all information what needed when child is born, it's just give the name. And that's all. If you look, for example, and we can pre-fill the surname, if my wife is Rozova and I am Rozov, and the child is the boy, the family will be, family name will be Rozov, I think, yeah? We do not need to ask it. We just can pre-fill it, but if we want to change it, of course we can do it. And only what needed just to get the name. And that's it, because all necessary information already available in state. We know the addresses, we know how big benefits we can give to the child in all levels, in governmental level, in local one. We also can provide some pre-filled information about registration child to kindergarten. In Estonia is the problem because after the next day when child will burn, I have to put it into the queue of the kindergarten, because we have more children than kindergartens. And if I skip it, I have to choose some private sector services that are quite costly. And again, if we know it, where I live or where I work, I can book some kindergartens for the future, and we can do it. But if I do it again in the physical world, I have to use different services for getting one service in reality. And in Estonian case, it's 11 different authorities which provide every bit of service. But in reality, by using information system, I need only the name, and that's it. Our new approach is bureaucrat. It's some assistant which helps me through all organizations. It's like let's say so, like a robot, voice robot or tape robot, and when I tape some information, we are able to find specific real services that have to be used in the environment. It's not chat. It's direct link to service which have to be used. Of course, we have our national AI strategy. We have around 50 different use cases. And again, we are doing it not just for innovation, but really in a practical manner. It's have to help us in same situations. As you see, we use a lot of self-driving robots. They are carrying a food or different stuff, and it's a very interesting picture when you can what you can see in Estonia. Very good service we have in unemployment boards. By using AI, we are able to profile for analyze all history of the people who are finding the job, who are stay in that job that they find. And via that, we can predict some cases and offer more suitable working places for specific people. And it's working very well. We have quite cold winters in Estonia, and we have to sometimes check the level of ice in our bay. And now we are checking it through satellite photos, making analysis through EI, and not using the manpower to checking how fat is the level of the ice. Same situation is agriculture area. We have a lot of European money in agriculture sector, and we have some obligations that we have to cut the grass in the fields. And one option for environmental authority, we have to check does they cut the grass or not. And again, by using satellite pictures, we are able to check it totally automatically. Again, very practical thing, but it really works. And briefly, I think it's all what I want to share with you, and I really hope that next time I will hear new ideas and solutions from your side, and will learn something from you. Thank you. Yeah, I know.
All right, Mr. Rozov, thank you very much for your inspiring speech. It was really, we were enjoying listening you and your presentation. And now we have some questions for you from the audience.
Yeah.
The first question would be like, what was the turning point for the Estonian government to realize that the investing in ICT generally is beneficial for them? What made them convinced that, let's say, investing in ICT brings more like return on investment than costs, let's say?
Again, as I mentioned, we are a small country, and for us it was very expensive to hold all those bureaucratic apparatus within government, and it was only way to take on board some e-solutions to cut stupid bureaucracy and start to exchange the data. It was our turning point. And maybe another thing, what is also very important, our, let's say so, government on whose day was very young. We have our government from 30s to 40s. It was very, very young. And they just took the risks and try to do something on another way. I think it's another point.
Okay, and our further question like just continues on that, and it's who were the key people who brought the digital revolution in Estonia? Was that minister, prime minister? Could you name them? And yeah, what was the time?
First point, it was a collaboration with private sector. Again, we learn a lot from private sector and do not start to think something from our case. We make a collaboration. And now, of course, it's our prime minister, it was Mart Laar, I think, on those days, who just push all authorities to start to use electronical environment. And again, very important was that by law we established that digital signature, it's allowed. Every authority have to accept digital signature. If I, as a citizen, write some letter and sign it digitally, authority have to take it and manage it, and not ask me to, oh, please come physically in my office, and only after that I start to do something. It was very, very high politician will to push forward all this digitalization.
And the next question is, what are the e-services that you are trying to develop now, and that you plan to implement in the near future?
As I mentioned, very important how to decrease the number of e-services, put them together according with live events to make whose separated service is invisible for people. As I shown, if I have a child, all information from state packed for me on one event. I don't need to use those different separated services. And of course support. As a bureaucrat, what I show you, I just tape some my wish or what I have to do, and automatically I can use the real service which helps me on one or another question.
You partly responded to this question, but I'll ask it again, never mind, because the audience asks. And that's like, who was financing these, developing of these e-services and their implementation? Was it like a state itself, or it was, again, some kind of cooperation between private sector and state?
We have two models. One model is, of course, European structural funds. We have, I think, all, let's say, investments from Europe and all maintenance costs from our side. And it's a combination. But yes, European Union support us a lot on that journey and still supporting us.
And there is a question, how long did it take for you to develop all these kinds of services? Is it 20 years, 10 years?
It's going on.
It's going on.
It's going on. It's never ended story. It depends on service. We have small ones that we can launch as a show through 2 weeks. And I don't know, e-health, we are still dealing with that during the last 15 years. It depends on the structure of service.
And there is one interesting question, and that's what is the key advice from your side to our government and to our public institutions? What would be the thing that you would like to emphasize for them if they want to start investing in this kind of projects?
First of all, visit your neighbor in another authority. Start to communicate with them, because all those success stories about the people. It's just people in different organizations has an agreement that they start to do collaboration. It's the first one. And now you just doing things, not thinking about, not analyzing, just take it and do it, and that's all. Try, and on one day it's really happened, and you will have very good services.
Mr. Rosov, thank you very much for being here, and it was a great pleasure that we had a chance to see your presentation.
Thank you.